Hello, everyone. Welcome, Silent Brief Podcast, episode 221. A lot to talk about today. We got the NFL Combine, a lot of news coming out of the Combine. I believe we're really early on, but got one big trade that happened this morning. Plus, we got some releases. We got some guys seeking trades. A lot going on, a lot of business taking place there. And then we'll switch gears into the NBA post All-Star game. Which teams are trending in the right direction? Which teams are pretenders? Which teams are contenders? And then, of course, we got all the tankers. Pretty much half the league might be in this tanking situation. We might give our thoughts on how we feel like tanking can maybe be fixed by Adam Silver and his NBA staff. So, all that being said, guys. Right into the NFL news. A couple stories we got to get through. Probably the biggest one, Jets and Titans make a trade, I believe, very early this morning, around 10 o'clock. Jermaine Johnson gets traded to the Titans for Devondre Sweat. This is a pretty interesting trade. I don't think we usually see trades going down around the draft, but a draft combine at least. But there are pretty much every 32 teams, the executives, front office staff, coaches, all gathered in Indianapolis. So a lot of business does get done behind the scenes. So I'm not too surprised, but I don't think this really happens a lot. Initial thoughts, Jacob?
Yeah, I saw that when I woke up this morning, and the little research I did, I think the only big thing for me is Johnson had his best year with the Jets when Bob Saleh was there.
Yeah.
So he gets to reunite with Robert Saleh in Tennessee. So, I mean, maybe that'll help for him. He was a Pro Bowler, I think, in 22 or 23. And the guy that the Jets got, that Sweat kid, second-round pick, he's a big dude. It seems like he's there to replace Quentin Williams at the nose tackle. But, I mean, for the most part, these are two of the worst teams in the league, swapping players. I saw on ESPN, I think they gave the Jets an A grade, and I just wanted to, write them and let them know that they're talking about the Jets. So, as much as it looks good for them on paper, it's the Jets. It'll come back to not be good for them somehow, some way.
Lawrence, quick thoughts? Lawrence?
No thoughts?
No thoughts? All right, we'll move on. Lawrence doesn't have any thoughts right now, but second story of the day that I thought was pretty interesting. Colts actually give Anthony Richardson permission to seek a trade, according to his agent. After his injury this year, and then even going into the season, having a competition with Daniel Jones, I felt like Richardson probably was going to see a change of scenery at some point. Now it looks like it might happen sometime this offseason. Maybe it's during the combine. Maybe it's beginning of free agency. We don't know, but we shall see. Jacob, thoughts on Anthony Richardson, most likely moving on from the Colts, and where would you like to see him get a second chance?
I didn't really have any teams in mind, and I just clicked on the article here on the Score, and it says, on the third line, there's mutual interest between the Vikings and Richardson, which really, really intrigues me because they literally have another project in J.J. McCarthy. So it'd almost be like getting two quarterback projects of guys that have been hurt and haven't really been that good when they have played. So, I like the Vikings team minus the quarterback, so that would be interesting. I feel bad for Richardson, man. He was one of those dudes that when he came out of Florida, everyone was saying he was regardless of his lack of many starts, he was the guy that had the best arm talent. He was the physical, athletic freak, and he's shown that. He's had a couple really nice deep ball throws. He's made some good plays with his feet, but obviously he just couldn't stay on the field his rookie year, and then obviously lost the battle to Daniel Jones in the preseason this past year, which I also think that this probably means the Colts are going to re-sign Daniel Jones or make sure that he stays in the building, because otherwise they would have no other quarterbacks operating there. So that makes me think Daniel Jones is coming back. But A-Rich was a beast, and he's still young. So I think that it's probably for the best thing for all parties here is letting him get another shot somewhere else. A place like Minnesota makes sense to me because he would have to battle with another young guy, and we'll see how that goes. But yeah, really tricky and really tough. I'm curious, what do you think he goes for? What do you think the draft pick is? Are you talking middle rounds? Are you talking late rounds?
Yeah, it's interesting. It depends on his market. Like if it's just the Vikings, I feel like you just do a late round swap. Um, and I see why the Vikings would be interested, right? It's not pricey in terms of capital, right? But also in terms of salary, it's also not as expensive as if you would go out and get a veteran guy. Like if you would have to go pay a lot of money for maybe like a Joe Flacco, maybe try to reunite with Cousins. So if they want to go the cheaper route and just give JJ a run for his money, but still, give JJ the edge in terms of beating out another starter quarterback, then yeah, it makes sense to go that route. But I don't know. Lawrence, do you have any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, sorry for the disconnection earlier, but well, I personally think that he should be hitting up spots for like a backup role more so than thinking he's going to go somewhere as a starter. Because I don't think anyone's going to give him a chance as a starter. And being the project that he is, he's kind of going to have to sit behind somebody. And I don't know. I think two great places in mind. I would put like the Kansas City Chiefs, mind you.
Ooh,
When Patrick Mahomes is constantly, he's probably going to be dealing with these injuries with the bad O line that he does have in front, or towards the end of the season, this next coming year, let's just say it doesn't get going like we hope it will. The line doesn't work. It'd be nice to just have a project, cheap guy back up there because we saw the other guy did not do well at all. Like I know they might like him and all, but he did not look like a Sunday guy. He just did not. Sometimes AR, he looks like he can be a Sunday guy. The Chiefs have always made a name for going deep with the ball. Hey, that's what AR does. He goes deep. Some of these, things he does wrong, like we can pretty much allude it back to the fact that he doesn't have that many starts. He is a project.
Mm.
Okay, well he's behind Mahomes, and you can't learn from that guy out there. Okay, now you might not just be a project. Well, that's a later problem, but that was the first place that stuck out with me, like the Chiefs, like cheap little backup. Um, you, he'll get you what you need in the preseason, kind of thing like that. If Mahomes goes down, if we coached him up right, we can look like electric without looking pathetic.
Okay, well, I do like the idea to go to the Chiefs, back up Mahomes. Mahomes might not be there in terms of starting week 1, so maybe Andy Reid can work some magic. I feel like that's an intriguing spot for sure.
you got any teams, Markel? I just thought of two good ones.
I'm with Lawrence. I probably want to be a backup, so Matthew Stafford. I feel like maybe go down there with the Rams. Sean McVay. I know you got Stetson Bennett already there, but maybe he can compete with Bennett for the backup role. Malik Willis is most likely going to get paid at least $30 million by somebody, so why not go up there with LaFleur and Green Bay? So those are my two teams.
Green Bay was one of mine for that exact reason because Jordan Love, as good as he has kind of gotten, he gets hurt.
Yep.
He's had little injuries over the last couple of years, so I think him basically replacing Malik Willis as that backup makes total sense. And if a team did want him to be a starter, how about the Arizona Cardinals? If they want to get or tie in like a Jacoby Brissett / Anthony Richardson, you got a capable veteran, but you also got a young project with tons of talent that you could potentially unlock. Just trade Kyler, get rid of that money, and then maybe just give a guy like Richardson a shot. But I could see all those teams, from the Chiefs to the Rams to the Cardinals and Packers. Like I think he's young enough and he has the talent that somebody just has to want to coach it out of him.
Yeah, I think the Colts, if they had it their way, they'd probably get him out the AFC. Because he's still his first round talent. Like you're not gonna just like let him walk for nothing, right? So you want to get something, and you don't want him to bite you in the ass one day if he does turn out to be good. So I see NFC teams, and I agree with everyone here.
Well, we're gonna go to NFC team. Then I guess I'll just go another one out there. Like the Buccaneers or the Falcons. Both are kind of in need. The Falcons don't know what they're doing at all. Kirk Cousins is walking. I think Penix is probably going to be still coming off injury.
Yep.
And then Baker, he kind of needs a backup. I don't even know who Baker's backup is, but honestly, Baker kind of probably need a backup. AR likes to throw the ball deep. Buccaneers, Mike Evans, notorious for throwing balls deep. Chris Godwin will obviously keep his medium routes fine. But like teams that like to throw the ball deep should probably look at him.
100% agree there. Speaking of NFC quarterbacks, Lawrence, your backup quarterback for the Panthers, Andy Dalton, has gotten quite the interest in terms of other teams wanting to trade for him. How do you feel about that? What do you think his value is in terms of draft capital?
I don't think he gets you. I'd be perplexed to see anything more than a 5th round pick. But somehow last year he got Adam Thielen out of there for a 4th round pick, and then Adam Thielen only got like 89 yards in total with the Minnesota Vikings. So he knows how to scam people with some old players. But I don't think I foresee Dalton leaving. I mean, even if he did leave, like who's he leaving to go to? And it can only be for backup purposes. There can't be a team in the league that thinks they can get like a Joe Flacco Renaissance move with Andy Dalton.
Fair enough, Jacob.
True. Yeah, I think the conversation obviously is different because AR is 24 and has all this, untapped potential. I think you kind of know what you're going to get with Andy Dalton. So I would look to teams that, maybe have young quarterbacks. I'm not sure who is backing up Drake May. Maybe a team like the Raiders, if they're getting rid of O'Connell and Minshew, and if they want to get, a good, capable backup for Mendoza.
Yeah.
I mean, you could really go up and down the entire league and be like, oh, he can back up Lamar. Oh, he can back up, Dak Prescott. I don't really think Andy Dalton's moving the needle for anybody, but I agree with the compensation. It's probably a late pick swap. Take Dalton and a 7 and give me a 5 or a 6 or something like that. But it's interesting because I think that he has had a positive impact on Bryce Young. So if he's under contract, I'm kind of it's intriguing why they'd want to get rid of him for such a little, compensation.
Yeah, something worth keeping our eyes on for sure. Last but not least, we got former Bill Tremaine Edmonds is allowed to seek a trade. I believe he has no guaranteed money left on his deal in Chicago, so Bears going to see if they can recoup something rather than just letting him walk, because he might be a cap casualty to trying to save some cap space here. Jacob, what do you think about this? Do you have any teams in mind that Tremaine can go and help?
Yes, because he's a tackling machine. I know Bills fans, for the most part, really, we kind of fell out of love for him, but he was a tackle machine. He still is a tackle machine. Had 112 this year, so like he's a good linebacker. I would not say he's a great linebacker, but he fills a role. I think his only issue now is the money. I know that there's no guaranteed, and I think the 17.4 against the cap is the important number there. So whoever trades for him would be one of those teams that needs or has a lot of money. So I would kind of look at like the Titans. I'd even look at like the Chargers, because the Chargers have a lot of money for being a good team. The Raiders, obviously, they need to spend money on the offensive line and on the defense. So I think there's some of those teams that have money. But I more than anything, I think he's going to be a cut candidate, because I can't guarantee that a team is going to say like, we'll take on that 17.4 million when they can probably find somebody just as good or better for less in free agency. So I'm curious to see how that kind of plays out. I don't think a reunion is set for him in Buffalo. A lot of guys do end up leaving the Bills and coming back. I wouldn't be upset if we got Tremaine Edmonds, because we definitely need a guy that can tackle and help stop the run. Yeah. But I think he's a good player. So wherever he ends up, they're going to get a guy that's probably going to give him 100 tackles at least. So,
Lawrence, any thoughts on Edmonds, where he could possibly land?
I think Carolina should be calling him immediately. I think it's a good spot for him. I think the problem with Carolina's defense is like a strong structure point at the linebacker position. I just put it out there. Rose Boom is just way too inconsistent as like a number one guy. Like he was for most games, he was our number one middle linebacker, and then I think 52 Oh man, the man's so, I wouldn't say irrelevant in the minds, but I forget his name all the time. But like 52, he's in and out of the lineup all the time. He sometimes is a better, like, I would say, play caller, like calling out what the other team is going to do. Field general on that side of the ball. I feel like bringing in a veteran like Edmonds. Okay, you get yourself a real field general who's been doing it for a little bit, tackling machine, goes alongside Roseboom, makes it look more fluent, and then you pair him with some nice draft capital that we are supposed to be banking on. We got Dan Morgan as our GM. He's a former linebacker. Hopefully, he can cook something up in get some young guys in. But I think Edmonds leading a group of young guys would be a little bit better than Roseboom leading a little bit of young guys.
Okay, yeah. This is one guy I would like to see the Bengals go after. I'm not a big fan of the 17.9 cap hit, like Jacob's been saying. Like, he most likely will be a cap casualty, but if he's willing to restructure and maybe if the Bengals are willing to do some type of short-term extension to get that cap hit down, I feel like this is a guy that they should target if they don't want to compete in the linebacker market, because I don't really think there's a lot of really top end linebackers hitting free agency. So if they feel strongly about him and he feels strongly about restructuring, I feel like this could be a match made. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of 17.9. But the Bengals do need a veteran linebacker. If they return with these two rookies in the linebacking core starting day one, they're gonna be in the same trouble that they were in last year. So they definitely, like Lawrence was saying, the Bengals are in a similar situation as the Panthers, as they need a kind of like an old vet to kind of lead like a resurgence of young guys in the linebacking room. So
I think with Edmonds, it really reminds me of, and this is a weird poll, it reminds me of like 2019 Chris Paul, in the sense of, like, Chris Paul was good, but he was making $45 million. So you're like, he's good, but like the money doesn't really match what he is. And I think that if the Bears cut him, and if a team, Bengals, whoever, if they sign him for 10 million or 12 million, like 3 years, 36, then you're like, oh yeah, like this is a tackle machine, and he's going to be, the quarterback of the defense, and you don't have to rely on him for too much other than, stop the play when it's, coming right to you. So I think that number kind of turns me off, and I watched him play on my team for 5 years. But like, I think if you get him at a number that's, respectable, it kind of increases his value. Because I remember when Chris Paul got off of that deal and then signed like a 2-year, $25 million deal, it was like, oh yeah, Chris Paul at $12 million, like, yeah, that's perfect. That's kind of what he is now. So I think if Edmonds were to get cut and he signed a deal that's kind of more right for him, because when he did leave and sign with the Bears had a ton of cap space. They were terrible. Their defense was terrible. And they basically just threw him the most expensive contract they could. And I think that it would kind of benefit him and the new team that he joins if that number is a little bit lower.
Yeah, 100% agree. Speaking of Chris Paul, he recently retired. No longer is playing in the NBA. I know he got traded around the trade deadline and then got released. I forgot where he ended up, but yeah, he got released and no longer in playing in the NBA. So shout out to Chris Paul, great career. But that's a nice segue into the NBA. We got post All-Star NBA action going down. Great game last night, Pistons, Thunder. I believe SGA is actually back tonight. So although they could have used him last night, he is back going forward. Probably is going to be a front runner for MVP if he gets his act together and gets on a strong push here to close the season, along with, of course, Kate Cunningham and Jaylen Brown, because the Celtics are number 2 in the East, and no one thought they would be that high, considering all the injuries and kind of the fire sale that happened during the offseason to get themselves out of the luxury tax. So let's start in the East. Already off the bat, you got half the teams in the East tanking from the Bucks down. Bucks think they can make noise just because they got Cam Thomas, but they ain't doing too much. So are we expecting anything out of these bottom tier teams? Pacers, Nets, Wizards, Bulls, Bucks. Do we all agree that they're just in it for the number 1 pick at this point?
Eastern Europe.
Yeah,
Cool.
unless Giannis gets back, because they're only 2 games out of 10th place. But I think everybody here would rather see the Hornets just because they're new and they're exciting, fun. Like Bucks had their time, and I think we all agree Giannis is probably going to get shipped out this offseason. So I'd be happy to see them miss out on playoffs and give a team like the Hornets a shot.
Yeah, for sure. We got the next group here, pretenders. For me, I'm saying all these teams up until honestly the Raptors. I feel like the Raptors is the cutting off point of the pretenders. So from there, Hornets, Hawks, Heat, Magic, Sixers, Raptors. In my eyes, all pretenders. Good teams. The Magic, I'm really disappointed in. Magic, I had high hopes for. I thought the Magic would be way better than the Heat. But here we are. They're just a game ahead of them. I thought they'd be better than the Sixers, Raptors. Neck and neck with the Cavs at the very least. But yeah, disappointing season for me. I don't know, Jacob. What do you feel about these? What's your group of pretenders?
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head. I think Toronto to Charlotte 5 to 10 is really. I mean, I don't think anybody thinks that anybody other than Detroit, Boston, New York, or Cleveland is going to take the East. And I think even of that group of four, there's probably two that you like more than the other two. So, yeah, I mean, it's like you said, it's disappointing. I mean, the 76ers, Maxey is a beast. Embiid is at least like on the court sometimes, which is like a net positive. Obviously, Paul George is still suspended. So, like, they have a team, but again, they're just impossible to kind of put your finger on. The Magic, you said it well, especially trading 4 first-round picks for Desi Bane. Kind of a huge disappointing season. The Heat are kind of just in that middle tier. Hawks, weird season for them with getting rid of their star player. Jalen Johnson's breaking out, but overall that team's just really not very good. And then the Hornets are pretenders, but like they're the best story. I mean, it's good for them. I love Con Kneppel. Like he'd be the rookie of the year if Cooper Flag didn't exist. So lots of love to the Hornets, but all the other teams it's just meh.
Yeah, 100% agree. Lawrence, are you also in agreement here, or what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I kind of agree, but like what Jacob kind of said, you like two more than the other two. I kind of would just put the Knicks as pretenders as well. I think at some point they're gonna fall below the Cavs, and then it'll be Knicks down. It's just all pretenders. I don't know. I'm tired of buying into the Knicks. I kind of like heard Stephen A. not be able to defend them earlier when I was watching his show, and like when Stephen A. can't even defend you, that man be throwing out some outlandish things. You kind of have to side with them. Like pathetically, they have looked really bad against any of the good competition teams, and they make you forget it when they beat up little pipsqueaks or the bottom tier of the West or the East. And one of the things that I never actually thought about, but Stephen A. said on the show, was the fact that they traded so much away to get their fourth or sometimes fifth best player. Like when they did all that work to get Mikal Bridges, like he's not better than Jalen, he's not better than Cat. Most nights he's not better than OG. So then you're telling me that he's, sometimes hit or miss better than Josh Hart? Okay. You spent all that money and you did all that work just to let Jalen Brunson play with his friends, is what he said. And I'm kind of like, yep, that's kind of what's happened.
Okay. Hey, I'm not going to disagree with you there. I think Mikal Bridges was serious overpay. Gave too many teams like too high of expectations when it comes to trading away not even star players, but like players that are highly sought after. It just kind of inflated draft prices for some of these players, and it really shouldn't have. I think the Knicks made a big mistake. Else they would probably have Giannis if they didn't give up 5 first rounders. So shame on them. Cool. Well, I guess besides Lawrence, probably me and Jacob probably have Cavs, Knicks, Celtics, and Pistons as contenders in the East. Me personally, I'm gonna go Pistons, Knicks. I still don't believe in the Celtics. For them, it's just they live and die by the 3. I know, on record they look good, but I think in the playoffs when things slow down, if they're not hitting their threes, then they're gonna get exposed. And I think a team like the Pistons, even the Knicks, I feel like can outplay them again in a 7-game series. So I'm gonna go Knicks, Pistons as my favorites to win the East. Jacob, I don't know if you have any. Who would your two favorites be?
I'll take Pistons with you, and I'll take Boston.
Okay.
I get it. I get what you're saying. I just think Boston has what all the other teams, for the most part, don't have, which is that experience of playing in the playoffs. And,
Yeah.
The core is still intact. I know they got some, other players, and they had to lose a lot of guys. But just with Derek White and Brown, and obviously Tatum is still a big question mark. It looks like he's probably going to come back. Timeline's still to be determined. But if he gets back on the court, I just think they have a ton of experience. I won't pick that. We'll save it till we get closer. But I would say Pistons and Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals.
And I'll say one thing: the Hornets will be above the 8th place, and they will have made the NBA normal playoff before any changes. The Hornets will make that run. They have already started.
Hey, I'm all here for it. They can make it. Hey, I wouldn't mind watching them in the first round.
And we're gonna have a Hornets Detroit Pistons first round, and there's gonna be some fighting.
I'm here for that.
I'm here for that.
Cool.
Well, let's move to the West.
I think that's what the Hornets have their eyes set on, is a rematch in that first round.
Hey, they throw hands every game. Hey, I'm here for it. But we're moving to the West. The West, in terms of just tanking teams, just as bad, right? We got the Grizzlies, the Mavericks, Jazz, Pelicans, Kings. Clearly tanking. The Clippers were once upon a time in that group, but they got their act together. Tanking so bad in the West that the NBA is sending the doctors to the Jazz just to verify if their players are actually hurt. So, I mean, that tells you all you need to know, guys. What are our thoughts on these tankers in the West, or are we good to go? Move on from them.
Kings are the best. Kings are right now the best in the league at tanking because everybody's hurt and they really, really stink. I will say, pro Wizards thing of the day: the Jazz and the Pelicans play tonight. They both have 17 and 18 wins, respectively. The Wizards have 16, so that is one of those where either team winning would be beneficial. But if the Pelicans want to get this one done and get away from the Wizards, that'd be nice and ideal because the Wizards got to finish bottom 4 or better.
Okay, to keep that pick. Same with the Jazz. They got to finish top 8 or worse to keep their pick this year. So there's a real fight at the bottom to keep their pick this year. Mavericks makes sense. Kyrie, Anthony Davis hurt. Anthony Davis no longer on the team. Kyrie decided to sit this entire year out. Makes sense for them to tank and see if they can pair Cooper Flag with another young star in the making. And the Grizzlies, as we just all witnessed, had a complete teardown from their core group of stars. The one guy remaining, John Morant, he'll probably get traded in the offseason, but we'll see what happens there. The group of pretenders, this is interesting because I think this group is smaller. I legit think this pretty much comes down to the Clippers, Blazers, Warriors, and Suns. The play-in teams. I think the top 6 in the West are legit. Lakers are borderline, will be pretenders, but if honestly, if they go on the run and get a good seeding, then I feel like they can be classified as contenders. Jacob, do you agree with my list of pretenders?
So close. I think the Lakers are pretenders. I really do. Just what I tend to only watch them when they have like a primetime game against another good team. So I do think it's a little unfair for me to say like every game I've watched they haven't played well, because every game that I've watched they played a decent team. They just played Boston and they looked so bad.
Yeah.
So I think it depends with the Lakers, because right now they play the Rockets, and I do like that matchup for the Lakers better than the Nuggets or the Spurs. Yeah. So if they get seeded up well, then they might win in the first round. But I'm very confident that this team will not get past the second round. I mean, this team, they have really good players, but there's still just something there that just hasn't clicked the way that a lot of people, including myself, I kind of thought it would click. So I think they're pretenders. The Suns kind of in the same boat where they're kind of ahead of schedule. I think people thought they were going to be really bad this year with getting rid of KD, but Booker, he's been in and out of the lineup, but he's been relatively good. I know Dylan Brooks is out for 4 to 6 weeks now. The Warriors are the kind of the definition of a pretender. Blazers aren't there yet, but they're having a positive season. And Clippers, what a weird year for them. So if they make it, then I'm sure they'll get bounced pretty probably in the playing tournament, honestly.
Lawrence, what do you think about pretenders in the West?
Ooh, okay. The Lakers down. And then I'm actually going to throw the Nuggets in there.
Whoa.
I just don't think the Nuggets are complete enough. I think they're like a year away from like I wouldn't say it's a rebuild, but like they're a little restocking of their tools. I unless Aaron Gordon can come back and look, like good. If he only looks half decent,
Yeah.
I'm not buying into it.
Okay.
But I'm not going to get rid of Minnesota, even though I probably should. And I should just say the Nuggets are better, but I don't know. There's just something about Anthony. He can get it done. And I don't know. As long as Julius Randle just doesn't waste the space, they can pretty much win every single game in the playoffs in like a 7-game format. As long as, Randle doesn't waste the space, I think they're okay. But I kind of like the small points that Jacob hit on. I don't think the Warriors have any shot. I don't even think the Warriors make it past into the Final 8. And I probably don't believe the Clippers make it into the Final 8. I think the Trailblazers are going to do it on pure curiosity and want to see what it's like on the other side, and because the bottom few are just kind of too old and beaten at that time. And then, the Suns, just because, like I said, everyone else is old and beaten. I truly don't believe any of them matter. I think it really comes down to Thunder, Spurs, Rockets, Timberwolves, and if the Nuggets can make it past the first, then we start seeing what they can do. But like right now, they're matched up against the Timberwolves. I don't think they're beating the Timberwolves.
All right. So Lawrence has Nuggets, Lakers, and then down. This is interesting. I would say for contenders, I'm going 1 through 6 with an asterisk for the Lakers. Like I said, depending on the matchup, they could make some noise in the first round, maybe second round. But realistically, I'm circling Thunder and Spurs, the top 2 teams in the West. Thunder, I'm still sold on. They're going to win the finals, win everything, go back to back. This team is a juggernaut. I think strong start to the season. I think they got bored. Plus, injuries started to happen, and so they kind of fell back to earth. Spurs, resurgence, unexpectedly. The young guys are playing well. Wemby's dominating. He's healthy. This is a situation where they're probably a year ahead, but I still think they can make the Western Conference Finals. The Rockets, I'm just not sold without a point guard this year. I'm just not sold. So them, I think they're a year away. The Nuggets, Lawrence kind of alluded to it. Without Aaron Gordon, I can't say that they're real contenders, but maybe they get out the first round if he does come back and he gives you something, So for them, I'll probably pick them with the Lakers as asterisks in terms of health and the matchup. Timberwolves is an interesting case. I want to say yes because of Ant-Man, but it's basically the same roster as last year. I just don't think that team can get past the Spurs or the Thunder. Maybe they make noise against the Rockets, but I don't know. I don't know, guys. Jacob, what do you think?
I think that's very interesting that you guys aren't 100% sold on the Nuggets, because I would argue that in terms of teams that could potentially beat the Thunder, there's only 2 of them, and I think it's the Spurs and the Nuggets. Ooh. So it's a little interesting to hear you guys a little negative on the Nuggets. Aaron Gordon's coming back. He was 4-6 on January 29th, so probably a couple weeks he'll be back. If he stays healthy, I just think that you can't ever count against the best player in the world. I'm a firm believer that would be Nikola Jokic. So, I mean, they took him to 7 last year. The Thunder, or the Nuggets did, to the Thunder. So I think that they could beat them in the finals, in the Western Conference Finals. I could also see the Thunder getting there and being a fun new age rivalry between those two kind of young and up and coming teams. Not necessarily up and coming because the Thunder won, but you kind of get the feeling. The Rockets, I definitely agree. They're a good story. They're probably a year away. Only kind of thing there is, Kevin Durant's going to be a year older. Who knows how that team looks if they end up making a big trade because of
Yeah.
some of the KD files that came out a couple weeks ago. I don't know if they're going to shake up that roster or not. Yeah, I think with the West, I think coming into this year, I love betting on futures, and I think that OKC Thunder were plus 100 when the season started to win the title. So I think the odds makers and I think a lot of fans just kind of assumed the Thunder would just repeat. I'm one of those people that I liked the Thunder kind of doing their thing last year. Good for them. I don't like back-to-back champions. I really, really don't. And personally, I was one of the people last year that thought the Celtics were going to go back-to-back, and obviously they didn't. So
Mhm.
I am curious to see if any team can beat the Thunder, and I'm hoping it'll be the Spurs or the Nuggets.
All right, Lawrence. What do you think about contenders in the West?
Like I said with the Timberwolves, I think that any game in a 7-game series, they got enough. I think their main problem, like I said, is Randall. At this point, I would like to believe that Gobert, with as much scoring talent as he does have around him, just do your job, bro. Just take away the other team's big man, and I think he can do that for most teams in the West. Like for instance, the Thunder, he'll have a beneficial matchup. He's the better big man between him and Harkenstein. Like he doesn't have a favorable matchup against Jokic, but do your job, man. You were a defensive player of the year. Limit this man to 25 and call it a day, please. Do not let this man get past the 30 mark. Then we have problems. The Rockets, I kind of would agree with you guys. Now that you guys bring it up, like there's no point guard. I don't know. Crazier things happen. They got enough talent. The young guys might be having to prove a point to KD, and KD rides the wave because KD's just going to ride it. But I know I can also agree that in a 7-game series, no point guard, no distribution of the ball consistently over time. Teams are going to figure it out and game plan really well for it. But I think we're all in agreement that the Spurs are probably the ones to be watching out for because they have a traditional point guard. They got pieces around said perfect big man that they have. What more could you want for it? And then, for instance, the Thunder, it's just they got everything. And I think one thing they did good was getting Jared McCann. I don't think the 76ers ever utilized his ability just to shoot a ball, like to be a sharpshooter. I think one thing he's going to give the Thunder is since Alex Caruso's kind of out, in and out, he's going to give you that kind of sharpshooter from the three. I expect Alex Caruso to make 2, maybe 3 shots from 3 a game. Same thing from Lou Dort. I need 2 or 3 threes in a game. But, I want Lou Dort to also lock down their best player defensively. Okay, well, Jared McCann can get you some threes.
Yeah, hey, I like Jared McCann on the Thunder. Like I said, SGA is back. I think he's going to finish strong. Potentially go back-to-back MVP, and I think that'll go a long way to giving this team confidence to repeat. I really think they're going to repeat. I just don't see a team better than them. And the Spurs, I know the Spurs gave them a lot of trouble in the regular season. I think they beat them, 3 out of 5 times?
Yeah, 3 in a row, I think.
3 in a row in the beginning, right? So the Spurs, I feel like, have the biggest chance. The Nuggets, I just don't see it. I think without a healthy Aaron Gordon, like 95%, I just don't see it. I think, I don't know, Aaron Gordon's just too injury prone, man. And, hamstrings, unless you're like 100% right, it's always going to come back and bite you in the butt. So I just don't trust the Nuggets this year, even though I do like the way they revamped their roster. I will say that.
Yeah, that Peyton Watson guy is an X factor. If he has a couple big games in the playoffs, he could be a swing guy. But I do agree. I think the 2 best teams are the Spurs and the Thunder. But we'll see.
We shall see. Now, do any of us think that there's a sleeper team that we didn't mention? A team that we like, oh wow, I might can see them making a run. Other than, of course, for the East, Pistons, Knicks, Celtics, or the West, Thunder, Spurs. Is there one team in the West that's a sleeper, or one team in the East that's a sleeper?
I guess for me it might be the Timberwolves, but I don't even think they're really that much of a sleeper.
Lawrence?
I mean, I was going to go maybe Nuggets, but I don't know. If we're just going to throw a dark horse sleeper out there, I don't know. The Raptors? I feel like the Raptors could scare somebody in the first series. And let's face it, like, injuries happen. If we get like a Jason Tatum, kind of, best player on a team injured in the playoffs, they could take advantage of that. I could see Raptors, making a little bit of a noise, but then it's kind of a 5, so how much of a bark is it? But unless they get favorable matchups if they're in their current position, I don't know that they strongly go against the Cavs. I think they'd get demolished. But for instance, if they win against the Knicks in a 7-game series and let's say Cat was to be injured, I think the Raptors could easily take that. And then I think the Raptors could possibly make some moves going further.
Okay,
But-
interesting. I was saying the East. In the East, I got the Sixers. Don't make fun of me, but I got the Sixers. If Embiid can stay healthy for a 7-game series, if Paul George can come back and stop doing drugs, I think they got a good chance. Allegedly, Paul George, I think it was performance-enhancing drugs to clarify, allegedly. But yeah, I think they got a good chance to make some noise depending on whatever matchup they get. And then in the West, yeah, I have to go Timberwolves. Like I said, I don't love the roster. It's pretty much the same as last year, but if anyone I trust to make noise in the NBA playoffs, it'll be Ant-Man. So 2 teams I got on my radar.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we are done with NBA post All-Star break coverage and, our predictions for the rest of this season. Is there anything else we got to touch on before we head out?
Yeah, I got a shout out to Colin Kneppel. I mentioned earlier, about 20 minutes ago, he hit the all-time 3 rookie single season 3-pointer record. He hit his 207th 3 of the year. He has the most threes of all time by a rookie. And I will also say this is in part of a 28.8 for 12 shooting night. So brother made 8 threes to get that record. So shout out to him. Shout out to the Hornets. And yeah, what a season for him.
Great season. Like you said earlier, he would be Rookie of the Year if it was not for this guy named Cooper Flagg, who is equally as impressive. Lawrence, anything we should cover?
Well, I guess we should probably shout out, since we're A10 fans, Dayton took down St. Louis, and they looked good doing it. And Dayton or St. Louis early in their season had beaten Dayton like 103 to like 70. So Dayton getting that lick back, that was pretty good. And, it allows the A10 to have a little bit of I wouldn't say a cluster at the top, but, VCU lost to St. Louis. Now it's not as bad. They got one back. They can catch it right back up. And they were leading that game almost the whole time until they blew it.
Okay, yeah, I didn't catch that game, but yeah, A10 is kind of shaking up. It's gonna be crazy to see how the conference ends going into the postseason. Only thing I had to shout out, Elimination Chamber this weekend. I believe it was on Saturday in Chicago. They finished up with the last match. It was Monday, so Jey Uso put his name into the hat. Big injury to Big Bronson Reed. I don't know if you caught that, Lawrence, but he tore his bicep, so big guy's going to be out for an indefinite amount of time. So I don't know what's going to happen to the division, honestly. You got Braun Breaker's out. You got Bronson Reed's out. You got, Seth Rollins has been out. I don't know. I think this group is going to hell. It's only Austin Theory and Logan Paul left, right?
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know if Lawrence heard me, but
What about Randy O? Is he doing it?
Yeah, Randy O's in the Elimination Chamber. He'll be in there as well. I think it's Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton, Jey Uso. Who else is in there? That's all I have off the top of my head. It's 3 more guys, but yeah, it'll be interesting to watch. I think it's 7 p.m. on ESPN. Guys, definitely check it out. It's gonna be good.
Hello.
It's gonna be a good one. Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you, good sir. But anything else? I think that's the only shout out I had.
No, that's everything I got for you.
All right. Well, with that being said, guys, thank you for watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify, and thank you for all the continued support. We will talk to you guys next week. Peace.